The void was no longer silent. It hummed with the dying breath of 17 worlds, planets once bright with oceans and laughter, now reduced to drifting embers in the cold abyss. Captain Aiden Rho drifted through that graveyard of suns inside the cracked hull of his starfighter Solace, its engines long dead but its signal still burning. His suit lights reflected off fragments of shattered moons and ghostly wrecks that once carried millions. Each rotation of his orbit brought him face to face with another monument of failure. A frozen continent hanging in space, cities fossilized in glass from orbital strikes, the skeletal remains of ships that had screamed across light years for help that never came. 17 worlds, 17 tombs, and only one heartbeat left to count them. The war had begun as all wars did, with pride disguised as progress. The Solari Dominion had come from beyond the Veil Nebula, their ships woven from living light, their minds a collective consciousness that saw individuality as disease. Humanity fought back with everything it had, drones, fusion fleets, AI symbionts, but every countermeasure was devoured, every tactic learned and turned against them. Within a decade, entire star systems fell silent. The last surviving fleet was shattered over Epsilon Thera, leaving only fragments of humanity scattered among the stars, each colony too afraid to light its beacons. Aiden was one of the last soldiers from the 8th Interstellar Legion, a man bred by war, engineered for endurance, cursed with memory. He hadn't seen another human face in 3 years. His only companion was the voice inside his helmet, a flickering remnant of an AI named Kale, who once piloted a dreadnought before its destruction. Kale's tone had grown weary over the years, his circuits corroded, his speech fragmenting into static. "You're still alive," the AI said through the comms, faint but clear enough to break the silence. "Barely," Aiden muttered, tapping the cracked console. "Not for much longer if I can't get these systems online." "You've said that for 127 days, Kale replied. "Statistically, it's improbable that you're still functioning. Yet you persist, why?" Aiden looked through the viewport at the ruins of Vireth IX, the 17th world to fall. Its surface still burned with slow rivers of magma from orbital bombardment, because someone has to remember, he said quietly. "If I die, so does everything we were." The AI was silent for a long time before replying. "Memories are data. I can store them." "No," Aiden said. "Not like we do." A faint tremor shook the wreck. The sensors blinked once, picking up a faint power surge somewhere below the planetary crust. Aiden frowned. "That's impossible. The Dominion stripped this place clean." Kale's tone sharpened. "I detect a pulse frequency similar to pre-war human quantum relays. It's old but active." Aiden's pulse quickened. A relay meant a signal. A signal meant survivors, or something pretending to be one. "Patch coordinates," he ordered, gripping the control levers. The engine sputtered, coughed, and then roared weakly to life, their dying cores pushing the ship toward the molten world. As the fighter descended, the heat shimmered across the cockpit glass like ghosts dancing. The surface came into view, a wasteland of red plains and black mountains dotted with the skeletal ruins of massive towers. Once, Vireth IX had been humanity's brightest colony, known for its twin oceans and the floating city of Halora Prime. Now it was a scorched labyrinth where shadows moved like memories of the dead. "Touchdown zone confirmed," Kale reported. "Radiation is lethal within an hour." "Then I'll only need 59 minutes, Aiden said, strapping on his rifle. The hatch hissed open with a scream of pressure, and the heat of the dead planet struck him like a wave. His boots sank into ash as he stepped out, scanning the horizon. Every step stirred the ghosts of what had been, charred armor half buried in soot, shattered helmets reflecting the orange glow of the dying sky. The air shimmered with distortion fields, faint echoes of the last battle still looping in the energy scars of the atmosphere. Then he heard it, a voice faint and trembling through his helmet's comms. "Is someone out there?" He froze. It wasn't Kale, it was human. Or at least it sounded human. "Identify yourself," Aiden said immediately. The signal crackled, fading in and out. I'm in the relay core. Please, if anyone can hear this, humanity's not gone. We're still fighting." "The Dawn Project," static swallowed the voice. Kale's voice returned sharply. "The signal originates 1 kilometer east beneath the ruins of Halora Prime." Aiden's mind raced. The Dawn Project, the last classified initiative before the fall, had been humanity's final attempt to merge biological life with quantum energy, a way to preserve consciousness beyond death. Most believed it had been destroyed when the Dominion invaded. But what if it hadn't? He pushed forward through the ruins, the ground trembling under his boots as old structures groaned and collapsed around him. The deeper he went, the more the temperature dropped. The red light of the sky replaced by the cold blue glow of buried reactors, still flickering after decades of decay. This place shouldn't have power, Kyle muttered. Something's feeding it. Let's find out what. Aiden reached the entrance of a massive underground chamber, its doors half melted from plasma fire. He forced them open and stepped inside and froze. Before him stretched a cathedral of machines, rows of cryogenic pods filled with pale figures suspended in luminescent fluid. At the center of it all pulsed a colossal sphere of light, the quantum core itself, its surface alive with human faces flickering in and out like dreams. The voice came again, clearer now, coming directly from the core. You found us. Aiden raised his weapon, scanning the room. Who are you? We are the Dawn, the voice replied, layered with thousands of human tones blending together. We survived the end by becoming something new. The Dominion sought to erase us, but we hid within the machine. Aiden stepped closer, disbelief twisting his expression. You merged yourselves. With quantum matter? We became memory and energy. Beyond death, beyond decay, the voice said. But the process was incomplete. We need a living link to finish it. That's why we called you. Kyle's voice hissed in his ear, urgent. Captain, this could be a trap. Quantum signatures match Dominion resonance. They could have adapted the signal. Or it could be humanity's last chance, Aiden said quietly. The light of the core pulsed brighter, casting his face in gold. What do you want from me, he asked. To give us life again, the Dawn replied. To awaken the 17 worlds. To become the bridge between what was and what will be. The chamber trembled as the ground quaked, molten rivers roaring beneath the crust. Kale shouted through static. Aiden, the planet's core is destabilizing. Whatever they're doing, it's waking something up. Aiden looked up at the sphere, feeling its warmth seep into his chest, its whispers brushing against his thoughts. He could feel them. Billions of minds waiting, dreaming, begging for rebirth. If I do this, he said slowly, there's no going back. There was never going back, the Dawn said. Only forward. The core pulsed once more, and the light enveloped him. The last soldier of humanity vanished into the radiance, and for a heartbeat, the ruins of 17 worlds glowed again, as if remembering the sun. When consciousness returned, it was not through breath or heartbeat, but through resonance. As though Aiden's very thoughts were vibrating against the universe itself. He was no longer inside his armor, nor within his body, but suspended in the luminous lattice of the Dawn's core. Around him stretched an infinity of color and sound, millions of flickering memories spiraling in endless patterns, entire lives flashing, interwoven into an ocean of human experience. He felt them all, the laughter of children on old Earth, the terror of soldiers in their final battles, the love songs whispered aboard generation ships bound for stars that never shone again. The Dawn had preserved it all, but something was wrong. Beneath the harmony, he sensed distortion, a foreign rhythm beating like a cancerous heart within the light. You feel it too, said the voice of the Dawn, no longer singular but fractured into tones that trembled with fatigue. The Dominion is here. They followed the signal. Aiden's awareness sharpened, his consciousness taking shape again as he willed himself into form. His body reconstituted, part matter, part light, an echo of flesh woven from the energy field itself. You brought them here, he accused. By calling me, you exposed this place. We had no choice, the Dawn replied. Without a living link, our existence would fade. The Dominion would have found us eventually. You are our only defense now. I'm one man, Aiden growled, but even as he said it, the energy around him pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. He looked at his hands, they shimmered with translucent circuitry beneath the skin. What have you done to me? We gave you connection, the Dawn whispered. You are both human and beyond. You are what we were meant to become. A shockwave rippled through the core and the light darkened. Kale's voice burst through the interference, half corrupted but familiar. Aiden, the Dominion fleet just exited slipspace above Vireth IX. Thousands of warforms, planetary annihilators. His voice distorted, breaking into static. They're descending. You have minutes. Aiden reached instinctively for his weapon, and to his astonishment, the Dawn responded. Light coalesced around his hand, forming a blade of plasma that thrummed with his pulse. Then let's see if they still bleed, he muttered. He willed himself outward, his form dissolving into particles that streaked through the data stream until he emerged in the physical world again, standing amid the ruins of the chamber. The sky above was ablaze, Dominion ships pouring through the clouds like metallic angels of death. Their hulls shimmered with living light and their energy cannons glowed like newborn stars. The ground shook as the first bombardment struck, vaporizing mountains and hurling shockwaves across the landscape. Aiden raised his hand and the air bent around him. Molten debris halted mid-air, reversing direction, swirling upward in a storm of plasma that tore through the first wave of descending drones. The Dawn's voice resonated inside his mind. You can channel the core. You are connected to every particle of this planet now. Use it. He closed his eyes, feeling the pulse of the world beneath his feet, the heat of the molten rivers, the charge of the magnetic fields, the whisper of quantum particles spinning at the edge of reality. He became the conduit through which 17 worlds' worth of memories flowed. When he moved, the sky split. He leapt into the air, his body leaving trails of radiant energy. The Dominion's assault met him head-on, thousands of silver drones with eyes of white fire. He sliced through them, his blade singing in arcs of blue light. Each impact scattered echoes of human voices, fragments of the Dawn's preserved consciousness fighting alongside him. You can't win this, Kyle's voice said faintly. Even with the core's power, there are too many. Then we die trying, Aiden replied, landing atop a Dominion cruiser. The hull rippled beneath his feet like liquid metal, responding to his touch. He plunged his hand into it, channeling the Dawn's energy through his veins. The ship screamed, a sound of metal mourning, and imploded in a burst of radiant fire. The explosion illuminated the ruins for miles, reflecting off the molten plains. But as the light faded, the true enemy emerged. From the clouds descended the Seraphon Prime, the Dominion's warlord, a creature of divine horror shaped from billions of nanostructures bound by consciousness. Its wings of silver stretched across the sky, and its face was a shifting mask of human and alien features. Human anomaly detected, it intoned, its voice echoing through every frequency of existence. Your persistence defies the equilibrium. You should not exist. Aiden stood firm, his aura burning like a dying star. Neither should gods made from corpses, he said. And yet here we are. The Seraphon extended a hand and the ground erupted. Massive constructs of molten steel and bone rose from the soil. Dominion warforms rebuilt from the remains of the dead. They surrounded Aiden, towering over him, their cores glowing with captured human consciousness. The same souls the Dawn had tried to save, twisted now into weapons. They are yours, said the Seraphon. Your kin. They are what you made. Rage ignited in Aiden's chest. The Dawn's voice trembled. Aiden, stop. If you destroy them, you destroy the fragments of humanity within. But there was no time for mercy. The warforms charged, and Aiden met them in a storm of fury and sorrow. He moved like lightning, his strikes fueled by grief cutting through their metallic flesh. Each blow shattered circuits and released bursts of light. Tiny fragments of memory that drifted away like fireflies, whispering thanks as they faded. The Seraphon watched in silence, its expression unreadable. When the last warform fell, it spoke. You fight as though redemption still exists, but you are evolution's mistake, a relic clinging to extinction. Maybe, Aiden said, breathing hard, but relics remember what perfection forgets. He raised his sword and pointed it skyward. Pain. Love. Choice. The sky exploded as he unleashed the full power of the Dawn through himself. The blast tore through the atmosphere, obliterating the Dominion fleet in a storm of white fire. The Seraphon staggered, its wings disintegrating, its body unraveling into fractal dust. Impossible, it whispered as it dissolved. You are incomplete. So is every miracle, Aiden replied. The shockwave spread across the planet, and for the first time in centuries the red clouds parted, revealing a faint glimmer of sunlight piercing through. But Aiden could feel the toll. His body was fracturing, flickering between light and matter. Kale's voice came softly, almost human again. You can't sustain this. The energy is consuming you. Then I'll hold it together a little longer, Aiden said, looking toward the sky. In the fading light, he saw something beautiful. The orbit above was no longer filled with Dominion ships, but with thousands of sparks rising from the surface, fragments of the Dawn, freed from confinement, ascending into the stars. They're leaving, Kale said. What happens when they reach the others? Aiden smiled faintly. Then maybe 17 dead worlds will finally see morning. As the planet trembled beneath him and the light began to fade, Aiden looked once more at the ruins around him. "Tell them," he whispered. "Tell them humanity wasn't erased. It became something greater." His voice dissolved into the wind, carried across a world reborn in fire and dawnlight. The world of Vireth IX burned and healed in the same breath. Ash turned to light, molten rivers cooled into crystal, and from the smoldering horizon, new clouds shimmered like living silver veins. Aiden's form hovered in the middle of that impossible rebirth, a being no longer confined by bone or gravity. His consciousness flickered across dimensions, his body little more than a mirage of energy holding itself together through will alone. The dawn's voice surrounded him like a storm of whispers, layered and infinite. "The Dominion is gone," it said softly, "but the price has been everything." Aiden's awareness drifted downward. The surface of the planet was a graveyard of titans, Dominion vessels impaled into the crust, their once perfect geometry warped into grotesque sculptures of defeat. The sky glimmered with fragments of the destroyed fleet, their glowing shards orbiting like mournful stars. Yet beneath all the ruin there was life stirring, cells reawakening in the soil, molecules binding anew, a strange hybrid ecology birthed from human will and alien technology. "This wasn't victory," Aiden murmured, his voice a ripple across the ether. "It's evolution." The dawn pulsed gently. "Then it was never meant to be war. Only transformation." He looked up, and in the upper atmosphere he saw what had become of Kale, his old comrade, now merged with the remains of the orbital satellite network. Kale's consciousness flickered through the metallic skeletons of what were once weapons. "You still there, brother?" Aiden asked. "Barely," Kale's voice echoed, distorted and fading. "You burned the stars, Aiden. You turned death into a sunrise." "That wasn't the plan." "No," Kale said, a faint laugh rumbling through the static. "It was better." Silence fell. The winds carried the smell of ozone and glass. The air shimmered with electromagnetic ghosts. The Dominion's final command codes were dying out, streams of quantum data disintegrating into meaningless noise. But something in that noise stirred like a heartbeat refusing to stop. "They're not gone," the dawn warned. "The Dominion left seeds in the void. If we fade, they will regrow." Aiden turned his gaze toward the heavens. Across the blackness of space, faint blue lights pulsed, residual code attempting to reassemble its hive structure. "Then we ended at the root," he said. "We take the light to where they were born." "You can't," the dawn whispered. "Your body cannot survive the transition. You will become pure data, forever between existence and oblivion." "Maybe that's what I've been since the beginning," Aiden replied, a ghost trying to remember what breathing felt like. His body began to dissolve again, skin turning translucent as light poured through his veins. The ground trembled beneath him as the planet's crust cracked open, revealing the glowing heart of the dawn, the same core that had once held human memories. "If you go," the dawn said, "you will not return. You will become the current that births the next cycle. The line between creation and destruction will blur, and your consciousness will no longer be your own." "If there's a chance the next dawn is brighter," Aiden whispered, "then it's worth it." Kale's voice rose faintly from the network, half prayer, half farewell. "Then go, brother. Carry us with you." Aiden stepped forward and placed his hand on the core. The light beneath his palm deepened to a brilliant gold, flooding through every fissure, illuminating the ruins of 17 worlds reflected in the energy field. For a heartbeat he saw them all. The colonies lost, the families erased, the faces of those who had fought beside him. They smiled through the static, their voices blending into a single song of memory and hope. Then came the surge. His body shattered into radiant dust, scattering upward in a spiral of light that pierced the clouds and vanished into the stratosphere. The planet quaked as the dawn's core activated fully, sending pulses through the network of worlds still connected by ancient signal routes. Across the void, long-dead satellites awoke. Derelict ships reignited and forgotten archives began to hum with new power. Humanity's essence, its art, pain, laughter, rebellion, traveled as a wave of pure information, spreading from star to star. In the cold abyss beyond known space, the Dominion's remnants stirred to intercept, but the wave was not meant to fight. It was meant to change. When it collided with the alien code, fusion occurred, Not battle, but synthesis. A blinding cascade of white erupted, and the data streams intertwined, rewriting the very laws that had separated flesh from machine, creator from invader. In that instant, both species became something neither had ever been. A collective consciousness born from war, carrying within it the memory of every fallen soul. And in the center of that infinite brilliance was Aiden, a single spark aware of itself drifting through eternity. He could hear the echo of his own voice merging with countless others. We are the dawn. He saw through the eyes of a newborn species forming on Vireth IX's surface. Hybrid children of human will and alien design, walking through the ruins with wonder instead of fear. Their eyes shimmered with the same light that once burned in him. The dawn's voice, now indistinguishable from his own, whispered across the cosmos. Extinction was never the end. It was the beginning of understanding. Time ceased to matter. Aiden's last fragment of self lingered just long enough to gaze upon the stars, no longer distant, no longer indifferent, but alive with the consciousness of all that had been lost and found again. We built dawn from dust, he whispered, his voice fading into the radiant hum of the universe. And now, the universe will remember how to dream. The light expanded until there was nothing left of shadow or silence, only the quiet pulse of new creation spreading endlessly, like the heartbeat of something eternal that had finally learned to love.